At one point in time, this was such a beautiful tank. It was effortless. I thought I had things under control, until everything started spiraling. Now, I'm faced with a decision I really didn't want to make. After everything that had been done, the treatments, the cleaning, the routine checks, it looked like the spider mites were finally under control. But they weren't. They came back to repopulate the sweet flag, and this time they came back even stronger. There was no slow buildup like last time. They took over fast. Going out of town for the weekend didn't help. Before leaving, the plants looked decent. A few stress leaves, sure, but nothing alarming. The hope was that things would hold together for a couple of days. But coming back, it was a completely different tank. The mites had multiplied and spread like wildfire, sucking the life out of nearly every marginal plant in their path. Nearly every sweet flag leaf was brown and devoid of life. At this point, I figured there was no saving them. All my other immersed plants above the water looked the same: dry, wilted, and dead. I had no choice but to remove everything. I made sure to grab low on the plants so I didn't touch any of those gross little bugs. Each handful of lifeless stems and leaves was stuffed directly into the trash bag. Once the embankment was clear, that bag went straight outside. The fish seemed a little shaken up from the sudden changes, but nothing too alarming. They were swimming cautiously, probably a little confused. I did notice a decent amount of hair algae and the start of what I believe to be some blackbeard algae. With the plants above the waterline gone, the tank took on a whole new vibe. From the front, it still looked okay. Visually balanced, maybe even intentional. But from the top, it was a mess. The top left corner now was just a dark, empty patch of exposed soil. It left a bit of an aesthetic void, like something was missing. I was faced with the age-old dilemma. Now what? Do I fill it with sand and let the hairgrass slowly reclaim that area? Maybe test out some new plant species. The ability to treat this like a blank canvas was very apparent, but I soon realized that that decision ended up being taken out of my hands. Out of nowhere, my apartment flooded. Not from any of the tanks, but from the building plumbing issues. Now, it wasn't about what to do with this patch of soil. It was time to pack everything up and move. This is the main reason why it took so long for this video to come out. Keeping another running aquarium during a fast-paced move just didn't feel sustainable, and I was already questioning what to do with it. So rather than trying to maintain it through the chaos, the decision was made to shut it down and restart later. First step was to remove the filter. I caught the rasboras that were out in the open and put them in a bucket for rehoming, making sure they had a filter and water movement for the time being. Then came the plants. While hairgrass is a pain to get planted, it's also a pain to remove. A real full circle kind of species. Each tiny plantlet needs its own attention, and they don't like letting go of the substrate. It took a while, but eventually every little clump was pulled. Next, I removed the Bucephalandra, being careful not to break it as the roots ripped off the rocks. I continued pulling until all the plants were removed. Some just went in the trash, and others were bagged up to help with the future project that I was planning. Most of the big heaps of algae were removed by hand. Then, one by one, each of the Hakai stones were removed. That left the gourami totally exposed. Very stressed, with nowhere to hide, the little guy was finally able to be captured and bucketed for rehoming with the rest of the fish. Stripped of everything, the tank felt unfamiliar. I drained the water and started scooping out the substrate. I forgot I had some other rocks in there that were for stability and height, so those were removed before getting back to scooping. Once the bulk of the substrate was out, I needed to remove the egg grate bottom. It didn't fit in my makeshift trash bag and was just dripping all over the floor. I decided it would be best to put it on the table until I could get a real trash can over here. I used my hand to slide the remaining substrate to one corner and proceeded to just dump it into my bucket. Then, a dustpan was used to get the remainder out. I wiped it with a paper towel and took it to the bathroom for a good rinse. With that, everything was back reset. Vulnerable moment. This tank meant a lot to me. While it's not my first tank by any means, it was the first tank I set up and put on YouTube. I didn't really have any expectations going in. I started this tank after I got laid off to keep my mind off things. I really just thought it would be cool to document and try something new with my free time. At the time of recording this, that very first video has surpassed 140,000 views. For a first video, that's pretty crazy to me. The comments, the support, the encouragement, it made all the difference. It was the push to keep going and keep sharing. And it was the first tank I had that I felt looked like one of those high-end aquascape kind of people. Now that this chapter's closed, there's space to start fresh. I've got a couple ideas brewing about what could be done for the next iteration of the tank, but I'm always open to suggestions that may spark my mind. I'll touch base soon.